Achieving a gorgeous grin from home isn't a total mystery with Bite Clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all of your sleuthing friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Bite Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Welcome back to the second episode of Criminality. I am Rebekah Sebastian, joined once again, and as always, with my co-host Melissa.
Hi, Rebekah. How are you?
I'm good. Here we are again.
We are. Just mere minutes. What's been 2 weeks feels like mere minutes to me.
It's kind of like time right now in general. It's like, has it been minutes or days or a year?
I don't know. My neck is telling me it's been years, but
yeah, well, I kind of want to do this again, and it's my story time, and I can't wait to tell you my story because I loved being on the edge of my seat and hearing yours, but now I'm pretty pumped to tell you mine.
I'm so excited. Can't wait.
Okay. So what's funny is I think you and I agree that this podcast is supposed to be reality and true crime and pop culture. So it's naturally going to just be a little bit lighter because you and I spend a lot of time in the darker spaces of true crime with Moms and Murder and dialogue. And so that is very much my intention. And yet, for my first story, it's actually a quite intense crime, but it's not dark. And I don't think it's going to leave anyone feeling bad. So I've decided to go with it. And I'll tell you more precisely why. You kind of can't talk about reality TV or pop culture and not talk about Kim Kardashian West.
Totally.
Which I'm still going to say West until we officially hear otherwise. So I know she's in the news right now for her likely divorce from Kanye, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. But I was thinking about Kim Kardashian and what a polarizing figure she is. And unlike many people, I am not like queen, slay, Kim, I don't adore her.
I wish you would.
It'd be kind of fun. And I think unexpected for people if that's who I was. But I'm also not a Kim hater. I'm not one of those people either that looks at them and is like, oh, they're so self-absorbed.
Right.
And all the terrible things people say about the Kardashians. I'm oddly neutral about them, even though they are such polarizing people. I never watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians in sequence religiously, but I've watched enough of it to understand the concept, if you will, which I'll get to. But I understand who they are. And there's something I do a little bit appreciate about them. I mean, they're so family-oriented. I don't know. There's a lot you could say for or against Kim Kardashian and the clan, but that's not what the story is about. I chose this story because she is an icon of pop culture and reality. And this story just hit me because I realized I knew the vague outline of what happened and not the in and out details. And there's a lot of details and I'm excited to share them with you. But before I do you have a feeling on Kim Kardashian? Where do you fall on the line?
I'm very, if it's on and nothing else is on, I have it on. Or if I've seen a special preview, they always get me on those Twitter clips that are 30 seconds of them fighting. I'm like, well, I have to see why they're screaming at each other.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't. And it's the same thing. Good for you. You've done really well. You've given me so many memes and gifts. I consider you a treasure in that sense. But do I really care day to day? I don't.
Yeah.
But, I'm interested in her.
Okay. So I think we're on the same Kardashian page. And I will say my opinion of her has evolved, and that'll come later. So you probably know that Kim Kardashian was robbed at gunpoint in Paris in 2016, or you at least remember hearing that, right? It was this huge surge of pictures and headlines and news, but then it very quickly went quiet. And so you might be surprised to learn that the story potentially started many years prior to that. Let me explain. In 2010, a man named Abdul Rahman, who also just goes by Abdul and preferred not to give his last name to the press in everything I read. So Abdul Rahman, who I will call Abdul for the rest of the story, is a part-time night watchman at this prestigious hotel. Also, unfortunately for my first story, takes place in France. So there's going to be some pronunciation issues. And while I was able to help Melissa last episode with New Jersey pronunciations of locations, not so much in French. My daughter is horrified by my accent, as is my friend Laura, who graciously helped me.
Aww.
Okay, so he worked at the prestigious, brace yourselves, Hotel des Portelays, and he emailed his superiors to express his concern over the building's inadequate security protocol, lack of CCTV cameras, and overall vulnerability. The email was ignored, and Abdul continued his job at the hotel, but he was also working towards his doctorate at the Sorbonne Institute. So he had big goals. He was working this job, and he called himself this night watchman. A lot of the reports later, after this incident happened, called him the concierge, but it really isn't the title he used, nor did the hotel. So I'm going with what he called himself, which was sort of a part-time night watchman, meaning he was in a quasi-security role, but that didn't mean anything.
Right.
He wasn't armed, he wasn't equipped, and as you can hear, he felt the hotel's security measures were very lackluster. So he was married, he had one child, living in Paris, but he was actually born in North Algeria. According to the Daily Mail, former employees loved Abdul. They spoke highly of his work ethic, and one said he was loyal, hardworking, and an extremely intelligent employee. So before we get to this incident, I want to talk a little bit about this Hotel des Portelays, which translates to the no address hotel, thankfully, and that's what we will call it from here on out. So the no address hotel is a place for the rich and famous, and you have to be referred or invited to stay there. It's for celebrities and one percenters, and they love the no address hotel because it offers them discretion and privacy. And you can Google it because it actually has a street address. You can walk by it in Paris. It isn't even like down a private road or anything. It's very understated. It's beautiful in the way most Parisian architecture is beautiful, but you wouldn't look at it necessarily and guess it's an exclusive locale for the rich and famous. The hotel executives actually describe it not as a hotel, but as a private residence transformed into luxurious guest houses. So my sense is that a hotel's too lowbrow, like it doesn't define what this place is. It's supposed to be a bunch of individual residences for super high profile guests who want to feel like they're in a real home and not be in like a busy, bustling, tourist filled destination. So that's setting the scene a bit. However, while you can find the address, Melissa, if you're going to Paris after this pandemic, you probably won't be able to stay there. There is no website. You need a code to get in, and there are secret entrances. So my apologies, but I don't think if we do a tour in Europe, like we're probably not staying there.
Oh, man. I mean, can we put it on a vision board or something? Because now that I know I can't, I kind of want to.
Melissa, I like how you think. I just finished my 2021 vision board and forgot all about adding the no address hotel on it. There's room for amending.
There you go.
Dream big. Okay, so if you really, really just want to feel bad about the fact that you'll never stay there, past guests include Madonna, Beyonce, Jay-Z, actress Marion Cotillard, soccer superstar Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Nice.
Oh, I think that was okay. My husband and son are major soccer heads, and they wanted me to make sure I noted also that he used to play for Manchester United, but he currently plays for AC Milan. So
well, thank goodness you brought up that distinction.
I know.
Been pissed.
I think if people follow football, American soccer, they would want that to be mentioned. So this place really is for the elite, okay? So the particular residence where Kim Kardashian West would stay was actually an apartment that Kanye had rented for years anytime he was in Paris. It was 3,790, not dollars per night, square feet.
Oh, well, okay.
So I feel like I need to spend a minute there because I live in New York. I realize that people have 4,000 square foot homes in America. That's a big house, I think, by most people's standards. Yeah. Even in America,
gosh,
it's big. It's a big house. But I mean, I live in like a lot less square footage than that.
Me too.
Like all year, not for like a weekend. So when I see that kind of square footage, I'm just like, I don't even know how to think about it. So take whatever you were imagining a beautiful hotel room to be and just multiply it by a lot. So not only is it 4,000 square feet, it has 360-degree views of Paris. And here's the cost, $17,000 a night.
Oh, okay. So that also needs to go on the vision board, that we need to
Melissa,
come up with that kind of
I think we need a bigger vision board.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
My vision board is too small for $17,000 a night. So back to Abdul at this hotel/not hotel. It's now 2016 and nothing has changed since that email that he sent to his bosses, including the code to get into the front door. It has now changed hands hundreds of times. Celebrities know it. They tell each other, their managers, their people. And too many people know that number. So it's a night like many others, though maybe a bit busier in and around the hotel because it is Fashion Week. Fashion Week in Paris. I mean, I can't think of anything like more glamorous. This is like peak glamour. I'd have never participated formally in Fashion Week in New York, but you know it's happening when it happens because the whole city talks about it and streets are shut down and retailers that are not like doing fashion shows at Fashion Week have signs in their windows and there's all these different things going on and you hear about all these different celebrities in town. It's just, there's like an energy and a buzz in the air. And in New York, it happens in February and it's freezing, and yet people are out and nightlife is bustling. Obviously it didn't happen in 2020, probably won't for 2021, but this is in Paris. I feel like it's the Mecca for Fashion Week, right? So A-list celebrities are in town, fashion's most iconic designers are showing, and the beauty of Paris in the fall is all the backdrop to the glitziest week of the year. Now, the other people buzzing around are the French paparazzi, and they're hanging around the No Address Hotel because their favorite celebrity, Kim Kardashian West, is in town. I loved reading actually about the French paparazzi because they adore Kim. They say she is their favorite celebrity, not just because her pictures fetch them very lucrative amounts of money. She's actually genuinely friendly to them. She lets them take her photo and even thanks them when they do. According to one photographer, Mark Piasecki, he told Vanity Fair, and I quote, but I won't do a French accent, "We always say, 'Thank you, Kim,' and she says, 'Thank you, guys,' in her high-pitched voice." He then I know, which I think is so cute. He then holds up his middle finger and says, "Lots of other celebrities are giving us this. She never does that." And I thought, you gotta love that about Kim. I mean, she knows how she was made and where her celebrity came from. And I think she sort of really appreciates it. And I think she works hard to stay in the limelight, whereas a lot of celebrities work to stay out of it. I don't know, she's a smart businesswoman. And I also like that she's just nice to them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can imagine, and I went back and watched the Keeping Up with the Kardashian episodes around this time where she was in Paris, because of course the crew is there during this. And she's super sweet and always waving and saying hello. So it feels like a good time to talk about Kim and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, right? So 2007 is when the E! Network picked this show up. It was conceived by Ryan Seacrest, who was the original producer, still producing it, collaborating with Kris Kardashian, who felt like her family was watchable, that their family drama, their family love was something special that people might get excited about. And obviously their instinct was spot on. And I think now we have so many shows like this, like rich families behaving weirdly. Like that is something we're used to watching. But in 2007, it was pretty new. It was the end of The Simple Life with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. That was ending. We had the Osbournes. So that was like British flavored. So we needed something California and America and kind of Hollywoodish. And by need, I mean demanded, wanted, craved. Didn't need it all.
We watched it.
Yeah. So it was created to be the, quote, new non-scripted family sitcom. And the series would eventually lead to numerous spin-offs, more than I realized. So here they are. Kourtney and Kim take Miami. Kourtney and Kim take New York. Khloe and Lamar. Kourtney and Khloe take the Hamptons. Dash Dolls. Rob and China. Life of Kylie. And probably most disappointing of all, Flip It Like Disick. Which I never even heard of.
That's all I want to watch now.
I mean, Flip It Like Disick. It's catchy.
Yeah. But, I mean, they took a marketing class for that one. They got it.
Yeah. I think
concise, to the point.
situations team maybe should get a little consulting from the Kardashian team. So that's kind of just setting the scene for now. It's 2016, so the show has made these girls stars. I mean, these sisters are everything they do, from their makeup and their hair and what they wear, is watched. And Kim, of course, is the breakout star. She's sort of the center of all of it. So she, of course, is no stranger to Fashion Week. She's been several times, but this year was special, and it was different because she brought Kourtney, who'd never gone before. So she was excited to bring Kourtney in on this, and together they'd be watching their younger half-sister, Kendall Jenner, walk in the Givenchy show. Okay, nice. I said Givenchy.
You got it.
Again.
You said it with confidence. I loved it.
It's the only one I had any familiarity with and that I feel like I can say. Oh, French is hard. Their mom, Kris Jenner, was also in town for the occasion, so like most things with the Kardashians, was a total family affair. She was also accompanied by her assistant, Stephanie Shepard, her stylist, Simone Harouche, and her bodyguard, Pascal Duvier. So she's got her family and her entourage. And this paparazzi group that I mentioned before, it's about a dozen or so photographers that followed Kim and her entourage all day, every day. From lunch to shopping to fittings to all the major fashion houses. So Kim and Kourtney were just sharing this experience together and having the time of their lives. And of course, like I said, the crew for Keeping Up with the Kardashians was there at every moment, filming. And in addition, Kim was posting on social media and posting highlights of the trip in real time, which will be important later. So it looked pretty amazing. And when you watch the show, at this point, it really is like, wow, I can't imagine anything that fabulous, frankly. I mean, it was just like glass of champagne after gown fitting and fancy dinner after the others. Just amazing. But on the evening of October 3rd, 2016, things would get very dark in the City of Lights. So I think it's important to understand the pace and the itinerary that Kim was maintaining. This is a quick, even just abbreviated itinerary of the days leading up to October 3rd for Kim. Okay. So September 29th, Kim and Co., I'm going to say Kim and Co. for her team, attended the Off-White show. So soon after that show, they sat front row at the Balmain show. That night, they attended the Balmain after party at Lulu's restaurant. The next day, September 30th, was just a casual night out at the Ritz-Carlton with model Jasmine Sanders, like one does. Mm-hmm. October 1st, Kim and Naomi Campbell go shopping at Hermes and Fendi. Again.
Vision board. Yeah, all of this is vision board stuff.
We have like a big girls weekend planned. Like expectations are high. Later in the evening, Kim celebrated Kendall's arrival with dinner at Kinu restaurant, which I didn't look up, but it's like safe to say, probably very fancy and exclusive.
Sure. Absolutely.
Right? I think so. So finally, on Sunday, October 2nd, Kim and Kourtney watch Kendall walk in the Givenchy show, and then they attend a private dinner at designer Aaliyah's home. So Aaliyah's that designer that celebrities are always talking about, like, who's your gown by? And they're like, Aaliyah. Right. Aaliyah is a man.
I thought you meant Ghost Aaliyah.
I know.
Was like, wait,
oh my
what
gosh.
year is this?
Well, when you're Kim Kardashian, you can probably teleport to heaven for dinner with Aaliyah. Yeah. but no, we're talking about the designer, and this dinner was at his home. It was in his kitchen, and I saw pictures of it, and it's in the episode. It could be the same square footage, the kitchen, as that hotel we talked about. Like,
oh my gosh.
Unbelievable kitchen, private chefs, like a 1-to-1, waiter-guest ratio type of thing.
Speaking of kitchens, have you seen the video of Diane Keaton's kitchen? This is the most fun thing. She starts cooking something and she goes, hang on, I'm going to get a fork. Rebekah, she's gone for 45 seconds on the other side, and you hear her shuffling the whole way to get there and come back for a fork. It's insane and my favorite thing.
I'm going to immediately look for that when we're done recording.
Absolutely.
I could cook an omelet, serve it, clean the dishes without a full 360 turn in my kitchen. I don't know how to emphasize this enough, all that I could do, and I would never be out of camera shot. Just for perspective. Don't feel bad for me. I'm just stating facts.
I love it.
Okay, so that was the last event of the evening. The highlight and the climax really was watching Kendall walk in the show. So, geez, talk about keeping up with the Kardashians. Busy week. And at this point, Kim was ready to call it a day. And most of what Kim does in her life, I can't relate to.
Sure. But
9 o'clock wanting to call it a day, yes. Get me back to my gorgeous hotel.
Absolutely.
I want to put a bathrobe on. I want to watch TV. And frankly, I probably want to be alone at that point. And so I don't know, maybe Kim and I are more alike than I realize, because that is exactly what happens. It's actually later than 9 p.m. By the time they all get back, it's almost midnight, which for most cool young people, they're like, time to go out. We're in Paris. So Courtney, Kendall, and Stephanie decide the night is young. They're going to a nightclub called Arc. And Pascal, her bodyguard, knowing that she is secure and home for the night, decides to accompany them. And I think it's important to mention this because that doesn't seem out of the norm. So Pascal his job is to guard Kim. That is his primary subject, as if you will, in security speak. But with her being secure at the residence, again, a quote, he felt he could go and just keep an eye on the other women while they went out and keep them safe. So unfortunately, it just didn't work out well, and his absence would have serious consequences that nobody could have foreseen. So the women go out, Pascal is with them, and downstairs, Abdul is working the front desk. It's 2:30 a.m., and 3 men dressed in police uniforms appear at the glass doors, gesturing for Abdul to let them in. What these men don't even know is that these doors aren't even locked. They assume they're locked. And that's what's so unbelievable about this no-address hotel is, like, of course you would think there'd be a barrier between you and the concierge, or who you think is a concierge. So Abdul kind of plays dumb and gestures then that they can just come in. And he says, what's wrong? Thinking it's the police, wondering, are they here to arrest somebody? And they ask him if the rapper's wife is there. Abdul immediately knows they're talking about Kim Kardashian, but he plays dumb and says, I kind of love this response. One of the hotel staff apparently is an amateur rapper. I forget his name, but he's like, oh, like Iman? Like, no, he's not working tonight. He's got a gig, like, you know, our rapper. Yeah. And they're like, shut up. You know who we're talking about. And things get very serious. They actually pull out a gun and hold it to Abdul's back and demand to be taken to Miss Kardashian West's room. So they tell him to get the key. And he admits, yes, she's here. He gets the room and leads them there because what choice does he have? He has a gun pointed to his back. So 2 men take him up to the residence while 1 man stays at the front desk, I guess, to now be the night watchman.
Concierge?
Yeah. So upstairs, Kim had fallen asleep. She hears footsteps coming up the stairs and a noise at the door, and she's startled, and she sits up and calls out. She says, hello? Nobody answers, and that's when she gets really scared because she knows if it was her sisters or Stephanie coming back, they would say, it's us, like, sorry, or she would hear drunk stumbling or whatever. She doesn't hear any of that. She gets nervous and she calls out again. And what happens next is the part most people know. These men come up the stairs, announce themselves, and say that they want money. Now, Kim doesn't have much. Apparently, she has $1,000, and it doesn't say if it's American dollars or euros. My guess is it's American dollars because, I don't know, even in 2016, I don't feel like people are trading their money in for currency. I'm assuming she's throwing like the black Amex down everywhere.
Yeah.
And that taking American cash would be a really bad move for these guys. I would think that'd be harder to use, and it would be a bit more of a red flag. So they realize she might have jewelry because Kim is saying, I have jewelry, like I have a ring, take everything. So they notice there's a ring, and what is interesting is that Abdul ends up becoming the interpreter. So this poor guy is trying to protect Kim, but realizing there's this language barrier. So he's now saying, she says she has a ring, and they're saying, we want the ring, show us the ring. And so he's saying, show them the ring. And they're going back and forth, and Kim is hysterical, as you can imagine. So she gets a ring that she had put on her nightstand from a little Louis Vuitton like jewelry box she had, and she hands it over. It's over 20 carats and estimated to cost over $4 million. Now, it's not even her wedding ring or her original engagement ring. What I read seems to insinuate it was a second engagement ring from Kanye.
Sure.
Because why have one and why not? I mean, what a gesture. So it was a ring she prominently displayed on social media. And I think saying that might jog your memory. There's pictures of her with her finger up, and the ring is the size of half her finger. It's stunning. Right. And we'll get to it later, but there's a really good chance these men in her room saw that as well. So they continue holding Abdul at gunpoint. They're making demands, asking him questions she can't understand, crying and screaming. And like I said, Abdul becomes the interpreter. She asks Abdul at one point, "Are we going to die?" He responds honestly, trying to remain calm, and he just says, "I don't know." She's hysterical, and she tells them she has babies and a family and to please take everything. And this is when I think she's just crying too much and they're freaking out. And they realize she has a lot of jewelry, so they have more work to do. So they actually duct tape her mouth, her feet, and zip tie her wrists.
Those are things I never knew about this at all. My understanding of this story was these guys come in, they take her stuff, they put her in another room, and that was kind of it. This is so terrible. I can't imagine all of this going on. And working with an interpreter who, it's not like your best friend, it's somebody you kind of know through this hotel, and just basically begging, "Are we going to die?" And him not even being able to say, "No, we're fine. They're just going to take your jewelry." He doesn't even know.
He doesn't even know. I feel the same way. I feel like for some reason, the stories I read didn't include these details.
Have you ever had that moment when you're leaving the house and you wonder, did I lock the door? Or worse yet, you start spiraling and you imagine all the what ifs. I used to feel that way all the time, but it wasn't until a few years ago when I heard about a break-in just a few blocks away that I realized I needed to really step up my home security game. And now I can spiral about the what ifs on things that don't matter, like reality stars, instead of the what ifs of home security. We've had Simply Safe protecting our house for the last few years now, and it's a total game changer. With Simply Safe's Fast Protect monitoring, I know within 5 seconds if something's actually up, and the lifeguards can actually speak to intruders to stop them. That's faster than a reality TV star can throw a drink. One of the things I really love the most is you're not locked into some over-the-top 90-day fiancé level contract drama. Simply Safe is actually affordable as well, less than $1 a day with no hidden fees, so it's easy to love. It's no wonder they've been named Best Home Security Systems by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Whether you want to install it yourself, it really takes less than an hour, or have a professional handle it, Simply Safe is as easy as flipping channels between Chimp Crazy and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So why wait for the drama to happen? Get Simply Safe and know your home is covered just like I did. Protect your home with 50% off a new Simply Safe system, plus a free indoor security camera when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/criminality. That's simplysafe.com/criminality. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Hey, Prime members, have you heard? You can listen to your favorite podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free-podcast. That's amazon.com/ad-free-podcast to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Which are really violent and serious. I mean, this is a really aggressive crime. And so she's having that experience in real time, as is Abdul. They're both just probably terrified. And I don't know, the scene is just so intense. So they find this jewelry box in addition to what they've already taken, and they pick him up and they put her in the bathtub and they run out of the residence, bringing Abdul with them. So, meanwhile, in her own room, and this is what's confusing, Simone, who, if you remember, is the stylist,
right?
She heard noises. Now, some things I read say downstairs from her room, almost suggesting there's a bedroom on the first floor. But in most reports, it said she was in a connected room, or it was a separate residence, but probably sharing a wall somewhere. So she had heard something, heard noises coming from Kim's room that didn't sound right to her, called Pascal immediately. So while she's making the phone call to Pascal, Kim was able to free her hands from the zip ties amazingly. And she talks about this later and says, I don't think they were great criminals. And it seemed like the guy that did it was one of the younger ones. It just wasn't that tight because she was, without too much effort, able to get out of them. She ran to Simone's room. Also, I didn't mention this because I don't want to be gross, but she mentions it, so I think it's worth mentioning. When she fell asleep, she had nothing on except a white robe around her. So she had no pajamas on underneath. And just the vulnerability of that. And of course, worst case scenarios do go through Kim's head, and she talks about that. She tells her story on the Dave Letterman show. She tells it on Keeping Up with the Kardashian, and she definitely thought she was going to be attacked in a much worse way than she already was. So just the fear and, what all she must be thinking, and she's in complete survival mode. And her biggest fear was that she would be raped or killed or both, and that Courtney would be coming back to see her dead and just
traumatizing
her sister for the rest of her life. That was like the only thing going through her head, which I just like, again, didn't mean for this to go super dark, but I do feel like it's worth mentioning just the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
So she runs to Simone's room, and the men had also taken her phones. She had an iPhone and a BlackBerry. Shout out to Blackberries. They'd taken both. So by this time, Pascal had already headed back to the hotel. He was on his way. Meanwhile, in New York City, it's like 9 p.m. This whole event was only like 30 minutes long, which actually, now that I say that, probably felt like a lifetime. But it's around 9 p.m. and Kanye West is in the middle of a performance in Queens in New York City, which, just small world, I happen to be sitting in that borough as we talk. So there's footage of that moment, and Kanye is singing and the crowd's going crazy. And, you know, someone from Kanye's team comes up to his ear. You see them whisper and you just see him say, "Family emergency, I'm sorry, I got to go." And it just happens like that. And you hear everybody like, you know, getting upset and booing.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, none of them knew what happened. And now just to see in that episode, the juxtaposition of what's going on at 3 a.m. and what's going on at 9 p.m. in New York, I can't even imagine. So, okay, the worst is over. I know this was rough, but the worst really is over because I'm so excited to tell you that the 3 robbers left on bicycle, which I know I'm not trying to diminish the gravity of the situation, but I know that's just like very French and charming to me that like thieves on bikes is like kind of cute. And like in New York, I feel like they'd have like a getaway car, but in France they're like a basket with a baguette, but not really. These are really bad guys. So I later learned police investigators also were intrigued by this fact, but for different reasons. They see it as a clue that the thieves knew French streets. They were probably locals. They could ride a bike in Paris at night. And if you can do that, it means you can ride without streetlights. You know where to avoid cameras, and you can utilize back alleys and shortcuts. That makes a lot more sense than my instinct, but still.
But your instinct is where I go first, and why I should never be part of any investigation, even like of stealing a baguette. I shouldn't be involved in that either.
Same. And it's just so cinematic, like the idea of like, I'm just like, of course they have berets, right? They had berets, but they were scary. One had a ski mask, one had goggles. They were dressed like police. It's the scariest way to be a criminal when you think it's someone you can trust and you can't. So speaking of the police, the investigator in charge is the police chief. He's woken up, and his name is, I would have said his name is Charles Saint, but I am told it's Santé if you're French. So Charles Santé, I think, should probably have a TV show. I didn't see any pictures of him, but I imagine him to be super handsome. He gets a call in the middle of the night about a robbery, and his partner says, "This is serious. It's a high-profile guest, and they took a lot." So he says, "Who is this victim?" Like that. Like, who is this victim? I'm just kidding. I don't know how he said it, but he didn't understand who it was. Like, why is this so urgent and high profile?
Right.
Like, a robbery is serious, but you have to call me in the middle of the night? Serious?
Yeah.
So he does a quick Google, and he learns quite a lot about Ms. Kardashian West in just a short period of time. And he's quoted as saying, "I learned she has a lot of likes on Facebook."
Which he was really keeping up with the Kardashians.
He really was. Like, it did not take him long to get up to speed, right? And I love that, like, of all Kim's influence in the world, like, a lot of likes on Facebook is his takeaway.
Yeah.
So within this department, and this chief is part of this elite crime unit, the case was referred to l'affaire Kardashian, or simply Kim. So, I
would go with Kim.
I would too. And for the sake of this story, we will definitely refer to it as Kim.
Kim.
So what we learn happened to Kim is what they in France call a homejacking. We might call it a home invasion or a robbery. They call it a homejacking, and it's actually quite common in Paris. The tax rate is really high on luxury items, so a lot of people choose to keep their jewelry and even cash at home with them. Wealthier people, rather, to avoid those penalties.
Right.
So usually, though, they're older victims, and guns are very rarely used. So what happened, and the way it went down with Kim, was actually a bit of an outlier because guns were used, and obviously she's not older. She was vulnerable, but not in the sense of the normal profile of a victim for these homejackings. Now, in later reports, our night watchman Abdul said that they entered the room wanting cash. Because Kim didn't have much, the jewelry became plan B. But that seems to contradict what the police think. They feel she'd been followed the whole time on foot and digitally on social media. And between both sources, these criminals knew exactly when she would be alone and would be vulnerable. So if you're anything like me, you might be wondering, what do they do with this now very hot, notorious bling, right? So glad you're wondering, because jewelry theft expert and author Scott Selby told Vanity Fair, which was my primary source reading, that typically thieves will bring these diamonds and jewelry to somebody they've already set up who is in on the crime but not at the scene actively robbing. They're kind of just, I don't know, a few blocks away, meeting them on bicycle, and they're called fencers. The fencer will take apart the jewelry and break it up into smaller stones. So Selby states that these jewels will likely be sold on the black market. They'll end up in Belgium's diamond district within 2 weeks, and they will probably change hands 5 times in 2 days, once in Belgium. And nobody will ever know. They could be on the fingers of Americans within 6 months to a year. So I don't know if you've been gifted a diamond in the last 5 years, but it very well could be a piece of that huge rock.
Whoa.
I know. So as for the larger stones, you tend to have 3 choices. This guy, Scott Selby, says you can hold on to it. You can try to find a buyer who's fine with it being stolen, which I would imagine is pretty hard. Or you can change the stones and make them unrecognizable, because anybody in the trade would obviously know this is Kim Kardashian's diamond.
Yeah.
So back to the night of. So Kim gives her statement to the police. She cooperates fully, but leaves via private jet in the early morning hours. As you can imagine, she is very eager to get home to reunite with her family. The paparazzi, who don't know this has happened, show up at the no address hotel that morning, expecting her, not exit, but entrance outside to go about her day. They're disappointed not only to find out her trip was cut short, but devastated when they find out what actually happened. And some of them even sent video messages to her and messages to the press of support. I mean, I know the paparazzi gets a bad name, but these guys genuinely seemed distraught over what happened to her and truly sorry for what happened. And I think that took priority over, any lost profits for them. Right. So I thought that was really sweet and interesting. So meanwhile, Kim is back in New York, reuniting with her family, which you see on the episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And it is, I dare you not to cry, right? It's pretty.
I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, if you even imagine being in the same situation, you can that's the feeling you get in that room. But meanwhile, the French police are like, we have to catch these robbers. And Abdul was really shaken up by the incident as well. He went back to Algeria after giving his statement because he just couldn't take the negative press and attention. He and Kim were accused of being in on the crime and that it was a hoax.
Oh my gosh.
And that happened right away. I mean, Kim is seen not long after the incident talking about a TMZ tabloid about it being a hoax, and Kim in it for the insurance money. And
oh my gosh.
I mean, I know people have done worse for less, but I'm so frustrated by these allegations. And Abdul too, that he got dragged through the mud, that he was part of the criminal team, because how else would these guys have gotten in? And he knew where they were staying and he gave them the key, but he felt he had no choice. So he went back to Algeria with his family to avoid the press. I don't want to say much more about the rumors because it's a well-documented crime and investigation. I read the translated French police reports. So it's just people on the internet piping up with theories because that's what people on the internet do. So I just wanted to mention it because it was a big part of the story that really impacted Abdul and Kim.
Yeah. But she's got it, it's different for her because she's still got her life and everything going on. But for him, that's going to be all that anyone's talking about. That's if one person believes this story that he's involved in it, everything's over for him. I feel terrible for both of them, but the hoax situation makes it so much more difficult on this guy with no press, with no security, people have to be out to get this guy. I can't imagine.
No, you make a really good point. He was also, getting his PhD there. He had to give that up. He had to leave his job. He had so much more at stake in a way, right? I mean, thankfully, Kim made it out unscathed. And obviously now new measures were taken. So she's back in her bubble. And he was really exposed. And I think people saw him as partially responsible. So yes, I feel really bad for him too. So about a month after the incident, Pascal reassigns himself to another family and he amicably parts ways with the Kardashian Wests. Kim and Kanye say there's no bad blood, and it was Pascal who decided this, feeling it was sort of necessary. I think he couldn't get past it almost more than they could, and just felt like I think everybody might need a fresh start here.
Right.
So Duvier actually had his own security company. It wasn't just him. He'd been in this business for 19 years. Also, the guy is huge. Like I don't know what you imagine when you imagine a celebrity bodyguard, but
Yeah.
his arms are massive. He's just like the biggest dude. So he's also worked for celebrities like will.i.am, the Pussycat Dolls, Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, Lana Del Rey, Katy Perry. The list goes on.
Yeah.
So while Kim and Kanye didn't hold him responsible for the theft, unfortunately for Pascal, Kim and Kanye's insurance company did. They sued him and his security firm over the money they had to shell out to replace the stolen jewelry, which, by the way, they estimated was around $10 million value in total.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's lots of nights in that hotel.
Yeah.
At least 30.
I can't imagine owning $10 million worth of jewelry.
No.
And I even less so can imagine like traveling with it. I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying like,
No.
that's like so intense. That's so intense. But when you travel by private jet, I guess why not?
All of that. You have a security team. You're traveling by private jet. You're at, like, who's going to rob? I would never think somebody would rob a Kardashian. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't think that.
Exactly. And I think that was exactly what they counted on, right?
Yeah.
And if you are going to Paris Fashion Week, I guess you do want your best jewelry with you. That actually makes sense to me. Mine just wouldn't be as valuable, but it would be my best.
Sure.
Okay. So it's settled. So they settled for $6.1 million after a 2-year lawsuit. I feel bad for Pascal. Like I feel again, like just another person's kind of livelihood got interrupted and his life probably had some major upheaval, which I'll get to more. But I did learn some interesting things about high-end celebrity bodyguards while researching. And the average salary for a celebrity bodyguard is $65,000, which
What?
I don't know, seems low.
I would think if you're wanting somebody to put their life on the line, that you would be paying them more than, like, you would want to be like, I know you took care of Katy Perry, but I'm going to give you 6 figures and you take better care of me.
Yeah, and I want to be clear that this isn't necessarily what he was making.
Sure.
These are just average industry specifics or statistics. They say it can go up to $145,000. Now, he owned the firm, so his rate might have been higher, and maybe the Kardashians paid him a lot because they could and because he really was their like full-time person. But in general, they make about $100 an hour and work 8 to 12-hour shifts. And I just was surprised by that. I don't know, again, like I think of like the Secret Service. Like that is just a super intense, serious job. And those guys don't make a ton either. I've interviewed one on Dialogue, but I guess if you're kind of wired to do that sort of work, it's probably a pretty cool living. I mean, all your travel expenses are paid for. You probably get to go to really cool places, but not a job you can ever really relax.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can go to really cool places and think, well, I could get shot here. I could get shot up there. I can get shot on the beach. I can get shot in the mountains.
Yeah, I think that like perfectly sums up why I would never do it. Like there's no coffee breaks.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So he did, like I said, own his own security firm. So he was probably worth a bit more, which is why the insurance company was able to go after him. And unfortunately, he actually filed for bankruptcy prior to this incident. It was already not good. He had like $1 million he owed just in fees and summons. And I think he was behind on taxes. It happens, right? A small business owner. I don't think it was intentional fraud the way maybe some of the situation was. But unfortunately, this really kind of did him in. I checked his Instagram, which is all black and white photos of him working out, which might
As
do
it should be.
For some people. Yeah, I didn't need to stay on it long, but hard to tell if he's like working in a bodyguarding capacity. I did not see any evidence of that. And any evidence tying him to the Kardashians is completely removed from his social media. He used to post about them frequently and, he was like a family member.
Right.
So again, just kind of another sad aspect of the story.
That's super interesting, though, because you would think that, he went out to protect them. It's not like he just went out for the nightlife to go hang out. He's trying to protect the other one or whatever.
And
oh, man.
That's really important to say because some reports are like, Pascal was in a nightclub while Kim was robbed at gunpoint. And the real story is he was working, to protect her sisters and their friend, which, probably he didn't have to do. So back to the investigation. Meanwhile, in France, no arrests were made until January 2017, so about 4 months after the incident. And then it kind of seems like everyone was arrested. They detained 17 people. And of the 17, I think they did like a big roundup. They were just like, were you anywhere near this hotel? Do you have any kind of theft in your background? And they pulled people in.
bike, beret, and baguettes. If you've got any of those, you're going down.
Oh, Melissa, I love that. Oh, that's like the checklist. Oh my gosh. So of the 17 arrested, 10 were indicted with charges ranging from armed robbery, kidnapping, and criminal association. So the friends you keep, my friends,
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
I guess you can go down just for association. And this is interesting. The age range of criminals were between 23 and 72, which is worth noting because that is up there in age, right?
What part was he? He wasn't on a bike. He doesn't have the knees for that.
Well, I'll get to him. He was actually the mastermind, the 72-year-old. So and I have to say, unfortunately, there's not a ton of details. When Kim Kardashian's role in the story sort of ceased, so did a lot of the reporting. I think it's still reported in France, but even the things I could find weren't translated, whereas her police statement, her original statement, is translated because I think people have reported on it and cared to know what she said. Most people aren't trying to find out all these guys' names, their whole backstories. I don't know. I wouldn't have minded reading it. But it was very hard to find. But the first 4 men were indicted on January 12th. And one of them it's notable because he was identified as the younger brother of Kim's Paris chauffeur. So again, it kind of confirms the police's suspicion that there was an insider who was feeding some information in addition to knowing their schedule, following her. If they knew the driver, that is a big in.
Right.
The lead suspect, thought to be the mastermind behind the whole thing, is Aomar Ait Kadache, and he was arrested because his DNA was found at the crime scene on the duct tape used to tape Kim's mouth. The Parisians are referring to him colloquially as Omar the Old.
Aww.
Do the French, do they ever cease in charming me? Like, that is such a kind moniker, right? Like, we've got like Night Stalker.
Yeah.
And they're like, Omar the Old.
I like
so
that.
Gentle.
What's the case you're working on? Kim, who's your suspect? Omar the Old.
What was the getaway vehicle? Bicycle. I love it. So the bikes do matter. If you're wondering if any of the jewelry was recovered, none of it except for one diamond-encrusted cross that was worth 30,000 euros was found on the sidewalk. One of the men must have dropped it in the quick bicycle getaway, and a passerby found it the next day, picked it up. News was everywhere. It was already out that this had happened and turned it in. So one piece of jewelry was recovered, which, I mean, hats off to that person.
Yeah.
As of June 2020, Parisian prosecutors want all men charged to stand trial for the crime. So nothing, I shouldn't say nothing has happened, but they haven't even gone to trial. So these men are all arrested and charged, and they are out of jail but under legal supervision. They are expected to return to court in 2021. My guess is trials last year were all postponed because of COVID-19.
Right.
So I am watching for updates, but as of right now, it's expected that they will all go to trial this year. And I'm wondering if our friend Abdul needs to come back for it. Will Pascal need to come back for it? Will Kim need to come back for it? The story is over for now, but has lasting impact in France, in Algeria, and in the lives of the Kardashians. So the French are saying this was the largest, most brazen jewelry theft from an individual that France has seen in over 2 decades. The last reports on Abdul Rahman's status is that his visa is expired and he wanted to come back to try to help the investigation more, but he was unable to. I imagine he's going to have to come back for trial, like I was saying. So I think hopefully that will work out. And as a result of this experience, Kim and her family have completely re-examined their social media practices. They've also completely upped their security game, which goes without saying.
Yeah.
But she no longer posts anything in real time or with her location on. And she also says this experience helped her reprioritize her life and that she is now less materialistic.
That's great. I think that's great.
So, I mean, it's a positive perspective to have, to be able to have the takeaway of being like, okay, there's ways to be safer and there's also ways to make different decisions. So I feel, I look at that and I feel really impressed by her response.
Yeah.
But I think that's got to be really traumatic.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And I mean, I was thinking when you were talking even about the bodyguard, it could have even been worse if he was there because now you've got somebody coming in between the situation. I'm thinking of all the different scenarios that could happen as part of my being an Enneagram 6. And I can't imagine actually being in that situation and playing out all those scenarios, because it could have gone so many different ways. And not that what happened was good or great or okay or anything, but it was, for as terrible as it was not as terrible as it could have been. Not taking anything from it whatsoever, because I cannot even imagine that kind of trauma going into it. But oh my goodness.
No,
you know what blows my mind though? I'll still see people posting in real time that they're gone on vacation. And that's where I'm like, what year are we in, guys? If you want to post that you were on a family vacation, do it 3 months from now, or 3 months later. Don't do it while you're at the beach and people can easily find your, I don't get it. Like, this is a good lesson, I think, for all of us to be more aware.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the big takeaways in true crime. I mean, people who follow it are aware of this and are safety conscious, but I do get lax in it. Like, I won't add my location and live post things, but I will post a picture while at a location while I'm still there. So but I totally agree with everything you're saying, and I shouldn't.
Yeah. I feel more like people going on vacation. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking whenever it's like, you are clearly not home.
In your home,
house.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
People can break into your house more so, because we're not dealing with the things that she's dealing with if people know where your location is, if they could figure it out or whatever. But what she would be dealing with, obviously people, it's like the bling ring, that whole situation that happened, same idea, people just following their social media. And I'm glad people have learned. We're all learning from that. But man, that I just had no idea about 95% of that. That's amazing.
Did I had no idea it was as scary as it was. And you're right. I mean, it really could have ended much worse. And it was already so bad. Quick fun fact that I couldn't find a place for in the story. Apparently, Robin Thicke was a guest at the hotel at the same time. And he came home in the wee hours of the morning that night, probably out clubbing at the same place.
The blurred lines.
Yeah, just right. I mean, what else would he be doing out in Paris? And he was made to wait outside the crime scene because of what happened. So he couldn't even get into the room and to his hotel. So that's just, I don't know if it's a fun fact, but it's a tidbit. And Jennifer Lawrence had stayed there just a few days prior.
Whoa.
So really a true hotspot for very notable people. And the fact that this could happen to Kim Kardashian, I think, shocked everybody.
Yeah.
And we all knew it happened, but we didn't all know what really happened. So that is what really happened.
Whoa. Well, thank you for sharing that story. That was interesting and crazy. And I don't know. I really just had no idea. So that was a lot to learn about. I really enjoyed that story. Your storytelling abilities. The story itself is pretty sad and it's a bummer for her, but I'm glad. I'm glad that they've made changes and we're all learning, right? We're all learning.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a new day for all parties involved and things are on the up and up.
Absolutely.
Melissa, are you by any chance watching something?
It's so funny you should ask, because I'm definitely not. I'm taking a vow of silence after this. It's been a whole thing.
That's unexpected.
No, very. I'm definitely always watching something. So I'm going to give you a quick description of what I'm watching. It's also not reality. I thought I could pull reality, but for now, I'll give you a break. This is something else. So, quick-witted, poorly titled show about friendship in a cul-de-sac.
Quick-witted, poorly titled
show. Mm-hmm.
Friendship in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I want to get this so badly.
Do you want another clue?
Give me another clue, please.
It was a show that ran on TBS. It was created by the guy who created Scrubs. The music is fantastic on this show, but most people did not give it a try.
Oh my gosh, I loved Scrubs. I don't know who created it. It's not it's not Desperate Housewives.
It's not, but it's starring, do you want to know who it's starring?
Yeah, I need more.
Okay. Courtney Cox.
Oh, Cougar Town.
Cougar Town, yes.
I've never seen it.
It's so funny. You can completely skip the first season, but it's very fast. It's in like Scrubs, very fast humor, always has like a really nice, sweet moment in it. I've cried in that show so many times. There's a wedding scene that I like will still put on whenever I need to cry, where I'm just like, we'll watch it.
I love scenes like that.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love that show. And it's one of those that I forget about and then I come back to. And so my husband even likes it. And so I gave him that clue, by the way, and he said Perfect Strangers. And I was like, why are you even watching this one?
Don't know him, already love him. Yeah. No, that was a really good one. Sorry I didn't get it. I hope people listening weren't going crazy and screaming at me. Or maybe I hope they were. That would have been fun. I am also watching something, and I would like for you to guess.
Okay.
Newer show. The experience feels like the Real Housewives if they were actually wealthy, billionaire status, excess in Los Angeles.
Bling Empire.
You got it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Have you started it?
Yes.
I am really loving it.
I didn't even think I would. It was one of those Netflix suggestions and you're like, oh, okay, fine, I'll check it out. And it's nonsense. And what is the guy's name who he's adopted? He's a model. Kevin is so beautiful to look at.
He is exquisite.
He is. I'm like, there's no way you've even had salt. I don't understand your body.
His face, his body.
His face, yes.
He is so good looking, but unattractive, right? Because he talks. And it's just
the second he opens his mouth, you're like, you sweet, stupid man. Please keep your mouth closed and take your shirt off.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. I have theories that he's not as dumb as he's trying to sound. I think he's playing a bit of a role.
Fine.
But yeah, I know. Just as long as you stay on camera, it's totally going to be okay. I can't figure the through line out in this show.
No idea.
I don't understand how they're all connected.
Mm-mm.
I, like you, was reluctant to watch, but I'm not turning back now. It's a beautiful show with beautiful people, interesting characters.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's been more in 3 episodes than there has been in a full season of some of the Housewives franchises.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I know who you're talking about. They are just not bringing it. No, I love this show. And then what's going on with Red Power Ranger guy? He's terrifying me.
Oh my gosh. And also, why does he look so different in his confessional, or I don't know what it's called, but in his like on camera moment than when he does filming? He looks like 2 different people.
He does. And I think that's why he's been hired on things, because if he looked like he did in normal everyday stuff, he looks terrifying. He's just scary. Oof.
Yeah, I'm nervous about that relationship. If people haven't watched yet, I really think it's a fun show to start.
It is.
And I'm really impressed at kind of the real life experiences they're filming. I mean, we saw a birth.
Yes.
We saw this really moving, I don't know what you would call it, this little ritual for one of the cast members' moms who passed away. Like that just was very touching and like real. I don't know. Things, I mean, there's like some weird manufactured moments, I think, but some of it feels really pure. I'm in it.
I know, me too. I just had no intention of it. And my husband's like, what are you watching? I'm like, don't even bother. Just let's not talk about it. You're not going to want to watch this. Yeah. No, it's great. It has a feeling like, did you watch Selling Sunset? Like just the beauty of the shots and stuff. Like,
yes,
that keeps you in.
Netflix is kind of crushing it in the reality department. It's sort of making Bravo look bad because
I know
whoever's producing this B-roll and like the way they're setting it up visually is so stunning. It looks like a different city. I mean, Selling Sunset is so beautifully shot.
With some of the worst people I've ever seen in my entire life.
That I cannot stop watching and cannot wait for the next season. Yes, I agree. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think whoever's making these is like killing it. It's so good.
Yeah, I think it's the guy actually, I don't know if I made this up or if I heard it was based on that, but whoever did Laguna Beach, the OC, all of that. So they're used to making those really beautiful
You are right.
shots.
I have a friend and coworker who's reality show obsessed, and she gets into the details like that. And she told me that, and you're confirming it. Yes, that is true.
There you go.
We fact checked.
I didn't make it up. There you go.
Okay, Melissa, you're up next episode. Can you share some clues? Maybe I'll see if I have any idea what you're going to tell me.
Okay, Rebekah, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, I have 3 clues for you for the next episode.
Okay.
And they are a will, like a will and testament, our last will and testament. The second clue is Howard Stern.
Oh.
Yeah. And the third clue is Hard Rock Live.
Oh.
Yeah. You went through all the emotions.
I loved where it was going until the last part. No idea. It might dawn on me in the middle of the night, but I'm intrigued. Edge of my seat.
There you go. I think it'll be fun, and you'll hear what it is and be like, those clues, really? That's what you chose? But it should be fun. I'm excited.
Me too. Sounds good.
Alrighty. Well, Rebekah, another great episode. I love that. Thanks so much for leading that. That was awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was super fun, and I can't wait to hear yours next episode.
Yay. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Criminality. If you're enjoying the show, please head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you listen and give the show a rating and review. The reality is it would be a crime to keep your thoughts to yourself.
And come join the fun outside of the podcast and follow us on social media. We are at Criminality Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Memes are welcome. We'll see you in 2 weeks with a new episode. Until then, you can catch my co-host Melissa on her weekly show, Moms and Murder.
And Rebekah Sebastian on her podcast, Dialogue, a true crime conversation. Don't forget, loving reality
Isn't a crime.